welcome to another edition of Green is Good. We're at the Green Festivals in beautiful San Francisco today. We're so honored to have with us Adam Horsman. He's the founder of BrutBox. Welcome to Green is Good, Adam.
John, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Adam, before we start talking about your great products and service, I would love you to share your journey, the Adam Horsman story leading up to the founding of BrutBox. Can you share with our listeners a little bit of what inspired you along the way?
John, my background is in supply chain management, and I grew up in Washington State, and over the last 10 years, I spent about 3 years at Microsoft, a number of supply chain roles there, and then the last 5 years at Amazon, most recently actually moving down to California to help launch their Amazon Fresh business. So I've always had this background in distribution and supply chain management, but then separate from that, I have my own personal interest around entrepreneurial spirits and the environmental aspect.
Okay.
And as I was looking for something to do for myself, I kind of stepped back and I saw an opportunity here to really take my history of moves. I've had 10 of them, or 9 of them in 10 years.
Wow.
And I said, there's a better way. And as I looked at these boxes and applied that entrepreneurial business, I was able to come up with BrutBox Moving.
And what year did you found the company?
We're still brand new. We founded this company in October of 2014.
Perfect. So we're here for basically your launch in San Francisco. I love it.
Yeah.
So share with our listeners a little bit about the cost-benefit analysis of using BrutBox versus using the old school cardboard boxes.
It's actually much less expensive, and I've actually done some math. So a great example is you think about your traditional 3-bedroom home.
Right.
You're going to need 60 to 70 boxes or so.
Right.
And even if you go with one of these so-called online discount cardboard box sellers, you're going to spend between $198 and $260 to get all of your boxes. By comparison, our 3-bedroom rental package with everything you need is $159.
Wow.
And that's delivered, picked up, everything you need to move. So our customers save up to 40%.
So there's a huge saving for the customer.
Absolutely.
Talk about the saving for the earth.
So it's definitely much better for the earth as well. If you think about your traditional cardboard box, you're really only going to be able to use it 2 or 3 times for a move. And the stats that I've pulled show that thankfully, cardboard has one of the highest recycling percentages at 78%, but still you're talking about 22% of the boxes that aren't recycled at all. By comparison, our boxes can be used 400 to 500 times before ultimately they have to be recycled and turned into more boxes.
Wow. You and I were talking a little bit off the air before we got going. We have some common friends. This is being done in some other parts of the country. Did you model what you're creating off of other paradigms, or what other people are doing or not doing? Or where did you come up with the box model itself? Was this your design, or did you license it from somebody else, or where did that come from?
I didn't license it from anyone. There's a couple of main manufacturers, so I researched all of them and decided on this company because they're US based. The boxes are fully recyclable, and in fact, I actually paid a little bit more to have boxes that you'll notice that there's no metal hinge. But by not having a metal hinge, it actually makes it better. So when the time comes that it does need to be recycled, you don't have any metal to contend with, and you can turn it into a new box.
That's nice. And for our listeners and our viewers out there, the name of your company is BrutBox, so it's www.brutebox.com.
That's correct.
And that's where they could find you if they want to employ your services or something like that, and order these boxes.
Absolutely. We cover the whole Bay Area with next-day delivery.
So let's talk about being a freshman ecopreneur. Talk a little bit about making the big jump. You work for 2 iconic and fantastic world-known brands, Microsoft and Amazon. Now you're going to go become your own entrepreneur and follow the lead of a Bill Gates and a Jeff Bezos, which they're just wonderful people who have done so much, not only for their own brands, but way beyond. What was on your mind, and what went into the thought process in terms of when you and your wife sat at the kitchen table and started mapping this out? The fundraising, naming the company. Talk a little bit about how you named the company, where you raised the funds from, and what it is to be a real entrepreneur and ecopreneur.
I'll preface with, I'm a numbers guy, and so that's where I really thrive is diving in there. And so the way that I approached it was first I wanted to make sure that it was a viable opportunity. So I actually pulled a number of moving stats for the Bay Area to get a sense of how many folks move. And for some context, in San Francisco alone, about 12% of the population moves. So that's about 100,000 moves of people moving each year. And so from that, I was able to get a sense of market share to understand what the opportunity is, compare that to my costs to get a sense of whether or not this was a viable opportunity. And once we'd penciled that out, then it was a matter of fully understanding all of the startup costs and then working with friends and family to secure all the funds we needed to make it happen.
Wow. So in other words, do the numbers first.
Absolutely.
So, in God we trust, but everything else we need data.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Yeah. And so then, once you had the data and you knew you had a good business idea and a good concept that penciled out, then you put together a business plan?
I did, yeah. So it was really all kind of formulated at once. So I wanted to get a good sense of the market share,
right?
What a segment percentage that I thought I could capture, and then to understand, okay, if I need, let's say 1% of the market, how I'm going to get it. And that's one of the biggest challenges that I found is that we're kind of an innovator in this space that really hasn't changed for a long time.
It's true.
So how do we step in at the right time to say there's a better way than cardboard? And that's frankly our biggest challenge. And so we're doing a number of things to help create awareness.
Okay, and you decided how much money to raise. Let's just go over this because we have so many entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs in the United States and around the world that listen to the show now that want to be the next Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Adam Horsman's. And the question then becomes, when you know the number, do you go get loans for that number or do you go sell equity for that number? And what did you do?
So I chose to actually do it in cash on our own. Okay. And I didn't want to go down the equity route. Okay. And so I actually changed the scope of my launch based upon the cash that we had available.
Okay.
So originally I had some more aspirational goals, but actually scaled those back given the cash that we had on hand.
Got it.
I was more reluctant to go down the equity route.
So you wanted you and your wife to own the whole thing and start smaller and build a proposition as you went.
Absolutely. And then if and when the time comes that we want to get some additional cash, we'll have a viable business that'll make that a lot easier to sell.
That's been tested.
Absolutely.
So now, I don't think it's by mistake. I think it's more by design, the way you think about things and the amount of planning you put in. If you're going to disrupt a paradigm, a historical legacy paradigm, what better city in the United States than to do it here in San Francisco?
Exactly. Especially with a product that's really focused on the environmental aspects,
right.
It makes a lot of sense. And I look at our average customer, it's the 25 to 35-year-old techie. And this is a great place for that.
This is a great place for that. So you got environment, you got a lot of tech people, got a lot of people still moving to California and moving around. This is a great place to disrupt that paradigm and prove that model.
Absolutely.
What are some of your goals, though? If it works here, and I know it's going to work, I know you're going to make it work, what do you do with it then? Where could you roll this then, and how big could this really be?
I really think that it could be quite large. If you look at this business model, there are a couple of players, one out of Canada and one out of Florida, that are at a point now where they're franchising. And I think that there's opportunities, especially on the West Coast, to really expand a model. Obviously, not everyone moves within a single geography. So if you can be located in multiple geographies, you could support a move from, say, San Francisco to LA or San Francisco to Seattle. So my goal is to make this a viable business and then look at expansion opportunities across the West Coast.
Got it. And for our listeners and viewers out there, how do they go about, explain how it really works. So they go to Brutebox, BRUTE, box.com, and if they want to order their boxes today for their next move, how do they do it?
It's really simple. We have a convenient online checkout process. You go to Brutebox.com, select the moving package that you want. We have them predefined from 1 to 4 bedrooms. Each package includes the boxes, a rolling dolly, all the packing labels and security ties you need, and you use our online checkout system, and we'll deliver the boxes the next day.
And then they move.
Yep.
And how they get the boxes back to you?
So they move, they give us a call or shoot us an email, and we pick them up the next day. The best part is there's no box disassembly, there's no box recycling, and it's cheaper.
That's awesome. It's cheaper, and you've got boxes that look amazingly sturdy.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so you don't lose any products or your grandma's fancy dishes along the way.
Absolutely, and I've actually tested these with 210 pounds, and so
wow.
they're very sturdy boxes. And you touched on one of the things that I also like to mention that you don't think about. It's security. In 2013, 15% of all moving customers complained of theft of items.
Wow.
These you can secure. You could put a padlock through it if you wanted to, or security ties, but you'll know that your items haven't been tampered with.
Adam, you know, you're here at the Green Festivals. Explain your marketing approach to getting the word out there, you know, here in the San Francisco Bay Area, so people will start using your boxes. Why the Green Festivals, and what other types of marketing are you doing?
Sure, we're doing a number of things. So we're on Google AdWords, so we're targeting a number of AdWords there. We're on Facebook as well. We're also doing events like the Green Festival to reach out to these customers to really inform them about the better way of moving. Something that we're also starting to explore now is very targeted direct mailings. So I'm going after people that have listed a home, for example, or people that moved 11 months ago knowing that they potentially are going to be moving again.
How about moving companies? Would they be a potential client down the road?
Yes, they are. So I've reached out to 25 of the top moving companies in San Francisco, and I think there's some good opportunities for partnership there. One of the challenges is that we are a bit of a competitor for them, naturally. Many of them sell cardboard.
Right.
But I think some of them are warming up to the idea that there are some real opportunities here, that if they see the environmental aspect, that they will ultimately get more customers.
Good point. That's a great point. Any last final thoughts for our listeners and viewers out there before we have to say goodbye today?
I think for me, it's really just jumping on the opportunity. If you have that entrepreneurial bug, take advantage of it. And it's scary, but you can do things to help mitigate that risk and just make it successful. So I would encourage everyone to do that.
Well, Adam, thank you for being with us today. For our viewers and listeners out there, please go to Adam's website, www.brutebox.com. If you live in the San Francisco Bay Area and eventually beyond, use his great service, support a great ecopreneur, and also support the saving of our planet. Make the world a better place. Adam Horsman, you are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you.
Thank you.